Hi, I'm Tisha,
And I'm Lauren.
and this is the Open Booked Podcast. Today we're going to talk about several things, but first, what are you reading?
Currently, I am finishing up The Butcher and the Blackbird. I'm going to finish it probably after we finish recording this. Very good. I'm devouring it. It's interesting. I'm surprised it took me this long to read because it's super big on Bookstagram and Book Talk right now. I recently finished The Housemaid and Happy Place, which are both very big Bookstagram Book Talk books. Kind of have a hot take on The Housemaid.
Okay, we can dive into that.
Yeah, wasn't surprised at all. Like, I'd read other books by her, and I was surprised, like The Inmate, but I was like, okay, there's two more. Like, okay? We'll see. We'll figure it out. I have the other two, so I'll dive into those eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Place is just a cute little sweet second chance. I liked it. It wasn't like something to write home about, but I did like it.
Okay.
What about you?
Since oh man, so I finished the Vicious Lost Boy series with it's like a smutty Peter Pan retelling, which is great for 90s babies growing up on Disney.
Dark or just spicy?
But it is spicy.
Okay.
I mean, a little bit of both, because it's like forced, but it's like I would say probably 4 chili peppers, just because I don't think I've ever read 5 chili peppers. Maybe, I don't know, because the more I get into Book Talk and Bookstagram, I'm like, there's some really dark and spicy shit out there, and I haven't read it yet. So I'm like, I don't want to say I have ever read 5 chili peppers yet until I can get like further into some of the like JLA and other dark romantasy. But right now I'm reading Crescent City. I was like, what is it called? Crescent City. I am on page 31 because I still like my brain cannot comprehend, and I can't like I reread the same page multiple times because I'm like, what just happened? Like my brain's just like, let's go.
She's trying to read the book, the actual book.
I don't know.
I listened to this, and I would have had the same problem if I didn't. I've been having to send her voice memos on how to pronounce things. I would have had no clue if I wouldn't have listened to someone pronounce them.
Yeah. Speaking of, we kind of decided we've started to make it. We're getting bigger. We had an indie author, send us her book to kind of give feedback and to just help get the word out about it. She is launching pre-order next week. Her name is Myron May. I asked her how to pronounce it because I didn't want to butcher it. But the thing about this book, like as soon as I opened it, I love it because she has a glossary. You can't see any of that. She has a glossary and pronunciation for all of these things. And I'm like, girl, this is what any fantasy book needs, because we were taught by some backwoods people, and they may not pronounce things correctly, and we may not pronounce things correctly. So I need a very detailed pronunciation of each person's name or place so that I know what the hell I'm talking about and reading about.
We need it.
Yes, please. Because we be struggling out here trying to figure out how to pronounce things. Like people are still pronouncing like Rhysand and Feyre wrong because they just don't know.
It's not necessarily our education.
Yeah, so I'm gonna read that
I think
this week.
Sometimes they just make some shit up for words. It's like your head is the only thing that knows how to pronounce this properly. So I love that pronunciation process.
And I mean, I've listened to like 2 different versions of an audiobook and they pronounce the characters' names differently. So it's like if I were, and I would like to one day, just jot that down, authors. I would like to narrate audiobooks, but I would make sure that was a discussion. Like, okay, who is this person and how do they, relate to the story and how the hell do I say their name? So I don't make you look dumb. I don't make myself look dumb. And then I don't make people hate me because I'm the one telling them the story and I can't pronounce a name right or a word. That is pet peeve, top pet peeve when they mispronounce words.
Yeah.
And rant.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to Tisha's TED Talk.
Yes.
We all have our things. So speaking of listening to audiobooks, I thought it might be helpful to discuss where we listen to our books, how we read, different apps we use, so on and so forth. Main thing I think both of us use is, let us pronounce this wrong. Everand,
which I prefer.
That's how I say it. Used to be scribed. I prefer, I don't know if they got, but I don't know. I just know one day I clicked on my app and it was scribed, and the next day I clicked and it was yellow and it said Everand. Happened very quickly. But I feel like for the price point, you get a ton.
Yes.
My only complaint is that things come and go very frequently. It's like one day I'll put it on my saved list and then like the next day I'll go to listen to it and it's gone. But a really good thing about this app, I think it's like $10-$11, correct me if I'm wrong, and you get audiobooks, you get ebooks, magazines, podcasts, you just get so much. And I want to say every single Colleen Hoover book I listened to on that app. At some time, they come, like I said, they come and go, but I'd say that's the main app I use for audiobooks. I've
started listening a lot more since we got our Fayetteville library membership. Shout out Fayetteville Library, one of the most amazing in our area. I will say that. Since we got our membership there, I've started listening to Hoopla a little bit. I don't really know the ins and outs of it yet. It is free. It's just like Libby. But it also has movies on there. I like, as soon as I saw that, I texted Lauren and I was like, it has movies.
Yes. So Libby and Hoopla are 2 free apps. If you have a library card at certain libraries, you can use. I will say the Fayetteville Public Library, like Tisha said, amazing. It is insane that this is a library. It's ginormous. It will work with Libby and Hoopla. So if you are an NWA local, I believe right now because of our tornado disaster, you can anyone can get a membership in Benton and Washington County, right, to the Fayetteville Public Library. So if you don't have one, it's free. Go in and you can use Libby and Hoopla. The only thing is it's timing, right? Like you have so many, like it's like actual renting. It's like you're getting a physical book from the library. You have like certain times to
in Libby. Apparently, I set my settings to only be 14 days, but you can go up to 21. I saw somebody post about it in a book group, and I was like, "What the hell? You got 21 days? I only get 14."
Good to know.
So yeah, you can adjust those settings.
And you can also add multiple library cards in there. So like where we live, obviously a bunch of smallish towns put together in an area. So we could have library cards at several different places through there. And if so, it may not be available at one library, but it could be another one. So
yeah,
worth getting that. It's all free. The other app I use, I don't know if you use this, Tisha, is Audible. I had it, canceled it, got it back. It's the priciest of them, and you only get 1 credit for, like, a premium book a month, but
Hmm.
they do have a bunch of other books for free included. I say for free, included in that membership, and there are some pretty big
Hmm.
ones in there. The thing about Audible is they're through Amazon, so it's huge, and there's a lot of
Anywhere
Audible
else.
originals, so things you can't listen to unless you have Audible. So that's pretty much the only reason I keep that one. I use my 1 credit a month for, like, a book that I
Hmm.
know is not gonna be on the others or available, that sort of thing. So,
Hmm.
also podcasts. Our podcast is on Audible, and you can listen without a membership on that to learn.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah, I was excited for that.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how. And then I obviously, this is only 2 of my bookshelves. I like to buy books and then listen to them without reading them. It's a toxic trait. I'm self-aware. Uh, so I have a ton of books, but I read
Yeah,
paper
I'm
much
able to
slower. I
get through a
listen
lot
more.
more audiobooks than physical books. Do we also want to mention like where we like keep track of books we've read?
Yes, that's a good call out. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I love Goodreads because I get to see like what my friends are reading and pick up new things. But I just started the Bookmori because I see all my friends posting the like the cute calendars of like what I read this month, and I'm like, oh, I want that. Why doesn't Goodreads have it? So I found one of the free apps that does it. My only complaint about it is if you're reading multiple books, you have to like pause it and then like say the date that you stopped reading it, and then when you go to pick it back up to like record the amount of time, because it keeps track of that too, it makes you put in the date that you started reading again, and then it'll start recording the time, like the stopwatch.
Interesting. I haven't played
Yeah.
with it much other than I know you can export your Goodreads like Excel sheet and upload it and they will like backfill all your previous information. But
Hmm.
I'm always reading at least 2 books at a time, so that would be kind of tricky for me.
Yeah, it's a pain. So I might like send them a message and just like, hey, there's some of us reading multiple books at a time. Can you give us just like a like because it gives you like a done button, but then you have to hit save too. So it like takes it down so that you can open another book, and it makes you say that you're pausing it. I'm like, yes, I'm pausing, but I'm not like pausing. Like I'm just pausing for 20
Yeah,
minutes or an hour or
like
whatever so I can
do
go
adult
to this other
shit.
book or go to work. Yeah, the worst.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like Goodreads. I am jealous of the cute little chart thing, so maybe I need to play with that. I downloaded it when you told me about it, so maybe I need to play with it a little more. I manually made one month last year, and it took me like
Yeah.
a stupid amount of time and was like,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
want to say over an hour to do the one thing. I was like, there's got to be an easier way. And then when you told me about the app, I'm like, I feel so stupid. I was like cutting, snipping. It was a mess. But yeah, and
Yeah.
in other news, if you follow us on Instagram, you know we're fresh out of jail. We had a jail break
Yeah.
last night around 10 o'clock. 9:50.
9:35.
So we obviously have grown our following rather quickly enough to raise some Instagram flags. So we were jailbirds for 7 days. It was so weird what it would let us do and not do. We were able to still do stories and post posts, but we could not interact with anybody. And we're still growing.
Hmm.
I think you said what we
Yeah.
did. We grew over 100 followers without even being able to interact with anyone for a whole week. So it's great. We did this giveaway with my candle company and had so many more entries than we expected. The amount of time it took to try to make sure everyone had the right amount of entries and it followed all the steps. It was for Tisha. I know she put the sheet together and then I had to go in and verify. It was insane. So thank you
And shared.
everyone who
Yeah.
participated, followed. Um, we have our winner. Yeah, shared the engagement's been amazing. And yeah, no, we're gonna do stuff like that periodically, but thank you everyone for participating. Way, way exceeded our expectations. So thankful for that. If you don't follow us, be sure to follow
It just
us.
got
I
like
think
really
we're
loud
fun.
for a second. I was like, what did I do?
Are you good?
Squirrel.
Yeah, funny story, as we were setting up for this, I kept telling Tisha she was really quiet and I couldn't hear her. And I'm wearing my husband's gamer headphones here. I didn't realize there's a little spinny thing that turns the volume up. I had her like way down. I'm like chatting, you're quiet. I can't hear you.
I think that's what I
And
did.
it was me.
That is what I
User
did.
error. Goodness. Well, I can't get the "don't embarrass me, motherfucker" out of my head. I don't know about you.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, so I hadn't really heard it, and then I went to work on Monday, and my coworker Haley, which you guys will probably hear about a lot. Lauren's met her once or twice, but she just randomly throughout the day would say "motherfucker." And I was like, what are you even talking about? She's like, oh my gosh, this song is stuck in my head. And then literally over the next 3 days, that's all I saw and heard. And then I showed Jeremy, my husband, and he started too. So that's our house.
The way
right now.
she says
we just
it.
walk around.
Where is she from? Because it's almost like a southern accent.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna look it up though because. But
Yeah,
she's so freaking cute.
like
have you watched any of like her live videos or like performances?
But yeah, she's so cute. Her songs are all like before she was on tour with Taylor Swift. I had no clue she was. I'm not even like a Swiftie either, but obviously she's everywhere, so you gotta see it everywhere.
Yeah.
But when Espresso came out, I was like,
Yes.
okay, this is kind of a bop.
Yeah.
And then now this, I'm just like, motherfucker, all the time. I can't stop.
Yes, it's just addicting. And I'm sorry that we are now going to get that stuck in your head because
you cannot. It is
you
there.
just can't get it out once it's there.
Okay.
Quakertown, Pennsylvania. So that's where she's from. She is.
Whoa, she's 4'11".
Petite little thing.
I thought she was at least 11. Like 5'3", 5. I could tell she was short.
She's so cute. Yeah. Yeah, that's why she wears heels all the time.
Legally a midget,
she's
right?
So short.
I think anything under 5 foot is.
I think so. Yeah. Dang. Yeah.
She's adorable.
She is.
Yeah, great catchy songs. So, we'll be saying motherfucker until the end of eternity.
And that and hot tour.
Hot tour. I was telling them before, if I have to hear Hawk Tua on my husband's phone one more time, I'm gonna Hawk Tua his phone out the window. Good for that girl for her fame. I mean, I guarantee you when she did that interview, she had no idea the impact.
No, and then I saw she made a comment somewhere else of something else that was stupid funny. But then Jeremy said her mom is apparently like really religious. She's like a pastor and made some huge statement about like, oh, this is so embarrassing for our family. And this is not the whatever that we want to portray as a family. I'm like, grow up. She's an adult.
Talk to her if she wants.
And nobody would have even known you were related if you didn't come out of the woodwork and say this such and such. Like, let kids be kids because she's still a kid, even though she's legally apparently old enough to drink.
You're right. The only people who would know are the people who like know you. Now you have everyone probably all over the world because it's, I guarantee, the most trending thing right now. And I mean, they're making hats. They're making t-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a video of her signing hats. Yeah, like girl's getting famous. She needs to create her
Oh
own
my
like
gosh.
TikTok. Hey, we need to have her on the pod.
Yeah.
Get her as a guest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're the Hawk Tuah girl, give us a
Octua
shout
kind of
out
fits in
and
with some of the books
we'll
we read. I mean,
we'll make something
we can
happen.
make this work. It's in the
Yes.
genre.
Oh,
Oh,
why did I like immediately picture Feyre and Reese?
she put some paint on that thing. No. I think we're funny. See?
Oh God. Oh. Yeah. I'll be listening to this next week in the gym, like die, and some poor person that's stuck in the circuit room
Backstory
with
to
me
that:
is like,
Tisha
"What's
listened
wrong
to our
with this girl?"
first podcast. We listened to ourselves, as cringy as it may be, and she texted me and said, "We really are funny." I said, "I know."
I was like, I'm trying to do a leg press and I'm dying because it's too funny.
It's true.
Oh man. Yes.
In other news, the world has been about Hawk Tuah, motherfucker, and Bridgerton. You don't watch Bridgerton, do you?
Not yet.
Read
I
it?
keep meaning to. I just finished New Amsterdam, so I
will
think that's
say,
next on my watch
I'm a big
list.
fan. I watched the show and then found out they were books later. I have started reading the books or listening to the books. They're on Everand, and I'm through 3, which they kind of skipped. This season was season 3, but it's actually book 4. And I think this is the only time in the world I will ever say this. So you guys better take notes. The series is better than the books.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hot take. And I've seen some TikToks. I think a lot of people actually agree with me. The books are a great basis, but in the book they're really only focused on the person whose storyline is that book. Whereas the show sets up for the other storylines, shows some of the friendships and things that aren't mentioned at all in the books. And there's a lot of characters in the show that aren't in the book at all. Like huge, huge characters. So maybe they'll come in later. I mean, I've read 3 out of the 8. I feel like some of them would have been brought up by now, but love the show. This was a great season. Tisha, we need to do some episodes on it after you watch. But yeah, the world went from Bridgerton to House of the Dragon. So I'm wearing my Game of Thrones shirt today because we're recording this on a Sunday, and Sunday's officially Game of Thrones House of the Dragon Day for me. But, yeah. And then there's some big books that dropped this week. Midnight Feast, Lucy Foley.
I saw it.
I bought it. I was
I
at
saw it
Sam's Club.
in Barnes and Noble, and I was like,
yeah. I have read all of her books. She's one who will shock me, I feel like.
oh yeah.
So I really like her. Every time, yeah. It's something that's subtle that if you really could pay attention, or the second read you catch, but the first read you don't. And that's just talent. That's a planned out plot, in my opinion. She's very, very thorough with it. I don't catch plot holes, like she's got it figured out. She's got it figured out. We also have Reese's book club pick, The Unwedding. I got that. It's also a thriller. So, and then Love Redesigned series by Lauren Asher. There's just one book, which I just haven't read it yet. The second one came out this week, so.
What else does Lauren Asher
I have read
write?
something
Because I feel
of
like
hers
I
too,
read
I
something
believe.
of hers not too
That's
long
the reason
ago.
I got that one. Oh, Dreamland Bill. Yeah, you've read all those, haven't you?
Dreamland Billionaire series. I have read the first 2. I wasn't really a fan. Like, so many people are like, "Oh, it's my favorite book," and I'm like, it's a little too
I liked the first one.
cliche, predictable, all the things for me. So I'm like, mm, yeah, I read the two and I'm like, I don't know if I can finish the series. Like, I just, how,
They're all
what is the
predictable for
next
the
trope going to
inheritance.
be
Yeah.
and how
It's kind of
predictable
like
is
the
it going to be?
Twisted series. You read the first one, you're like, ooh, this is spicy, this is good. But by like the fourth one, you're like, am I done yet? Everyone's hot. And it's like,
Why? Yeah.
statistically speaking,
Yeah. I read the first
yeah, it's just not realistic.
three, I think,
Which
in
I
that.
read
Yeah.
fantasy. I don't expect realistic, but I guess at a certain point, I'm like,
Mm-mm. How many times can you do the same thing?
yeah. How do you have 40 orgasms a day? I'm sorry.
It's not
It's
realistic.
not real. Yeah, so that came out. I'm excited. We'll read The Midnight Feast and discuss that.
Oh,
Twisty
yeah.
turny.
I'm excited for that.
I'm sure it will be. But now I guess we can get into our next topic, Mr. Matt Haig.
Yeah. If if you don't know who that is or haven't read any of his work, I think he's an alien or time traveler. Um, but realistically, I was doing some searching on him last night, and he is actually just, a normal guy. He is a very big proponent of the mental health discussion. He did have an attempt on his life. I think it said 2016 or 17, but that could be way off too. Because I know one of his books was released in 17 too, so maybe I got that mixed up. But he wrote The Humans, which we'll kind of talk about. He wrote The Midnight Library, which has been like huge in the book talk world, bookstagram world, at least for the last year. And he also
I didn't know that.
he has written a bunch of children's books that help children with the mental health discussion. So I think that's really cool. And then he wrote another one that I've read as The Radleys, which it's kind of a vampire book. So I just can't get into the vampire scene. I don't know what it is. Maybe Blade ruined it for me, back in the early 2000s, but I don't know.
I love vampires. All vampire things I'm into. My husband loves Blade. I swear we watch it like once a month.
Oh man.
Not even kidding.
I didn't know that.
That was the first Marvel movie.
Marvel?
Did you know that?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like MC. Yeah, look it up.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, I thought the Hulk, but that was like
every day.
the first. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, why wasn't he in the Avengers?
Yeah.
Fuck some shit up.
So what did you think about Midnight Library?
I actually really liked Midnight Library. Not my typical read. But I mean, I'd say not my typical. I'll read anything. I tend to lean towards romance, romantasy, or thrillers, but I mean, I guess that kind of counts as a thriller, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Some sort. I liked it. It kind of got me critically thinking a little bit about your life, and if you had options, what would you do? Make you think like, when I made this choice, like selling this business or this or that or the other, like, what if I didn't? Or, what if I went to this college? But I thought overall it was good. It was really good. What did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. It was another one that I started listening to as an audiobook. So the first little bit is kind of slow, I thought.
Yes.
Like I made it to the part where she made the attempt on her life and then she gets to the library and then I fell asleep. So I had to like, I woke up and I backtracked and tried to get back to where I was. And then um, I thought it spoke a lot to the fact that like Mrs. Elm was the, like her essentially like spirit guide, like
Yeah.
guiding her through this essentially purgatory journey. Like a lot of times we think purgatory is um like a bad thing or a bad place, but I think it's just like a holding area. Like it's a waiting room until you figure out where you want to be or go.
Yeah. It's an interesting take. And then when she met the other person whose
Mhm.
was completely different, like what was his, a
Mhm.
video store?
Yeah.
Or am I making that up? It's a video.
No, I think it was. Yeah.
So it's just interesting that like your subconscious picks this like comfort place for you, and that was obviously a comfort place for her.
Mhm.
So I thought that was an interesting outlook. Also, that you can like
Mhm.
pick the movie or pick the book and then try out the life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I just feel like it was stepping in would be so hard.
Mhm. Yeah,
She got
'cause
better at it.
yeah, I mean, you go from point A where you are now to point B where you would have been now. And it's like there's all these gaps that your brain has to try to fill in. And you're like, I don't have these memories. What are you talking about? Like my dad didn't die or my whatever wasn't injured or whatever. I was like, that in itself is a hard journey
Yeah,
mentally. um,
yeah. No, I agree. I think it was a good. It's one of those books that you finish that you're not like it makes you think. That makes it's one
mhm.
of those books that makes you reconsider and change your outlook and how you think about everything for a time, which I think is a good like impactful read. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So sometimes I read a book, I'm like, oh, that was cute. Next. This one I was
Yeah.
like, huh, what
Hmm.
if?
Yeah.
So that's always
Yeah.
fun.
Which
She went
life
on that
do you
coffee date
think
with bro and had a
she
kid.
felt most at home in?
I thought she was gonna stay in that life. I genuinely did.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, for sure. Which one did you hate for her?
The rock star one. I was like, I don't really know you that well, but this is cringy. What about you?
Yeah. I think the one
Oh,
where she
glaciologist.
was it
Yeah, where she met the
oceanologist
other
or
guy. Yeah.
glaciologist? I was like, what the hell? You just, yeah. I was like, it's cool. Like that's where she kind of made her connection to this isn't just me having some mental episode. Like this is legit. And um, I think it was very important for her to be there, but also like, who the hell wants to be on a glacier and freeze their ass off
I
their
don't like to
whole
be
life
cold or hot. I
essentially,
would like to
like
be
as their
somewhere that's
job? That
fall
doesn't
year
sound
round.
fun.
You know, if I had to pick my book from the Midnight Library, I'd probably permanently
Hmm.
be in Halloween Town.
Yeah, I would live in Boston,
Boston.
100%. Like,
Never been. We'll get to that on the bucket list thing.
yes. I'm
So what a
a mass hole through and through.
mess. Okay. What about the humans? I think I talked about this in a previous episode. I was like, it's giving Guardians of the Galaxy, or not Guardians, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
They're like, this supercomputer can solve the math problem that explains everything. Um, the first half of the book, I was cringing the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you're running around naked. Like, I get it, but I would have thought that they would have researched like human customs before throwing an alien into the world. Maybe that's just me,
I think
but
it was like so, it happened so quickly. Like he discovered it and they were like, oh shit, we have to save ourselves because they can't figure this out and become like us. I thought it was funny how he like he didn't understand the concept of a pet or a dog, but he found himself like he was petting the dog as like a comfort thing for himself. And then he said that dogs don't obviously speak English, but
Yeah. I
their
also like
words are
how he
like a
described his
melody.
wife like
I thought that was so
super
cool.
ugly. And then throughout the book was like, she might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I was like, wait, you were describing her as like a dog, man. Changed your tune. And then when he like cheated on her, like not realizing that because he doesn't get the customs. I mean, it was very well thought out, I felt like, on Matt Haig's point, because you sometimes there's like I say plot hole. There's just things that aren't fully thought through when you put a new foreign, like even in fantasy, you put a foreign concept to someone, you don't think through like that they would have no idea how to like use a fork or something small like that.
Yeah.
And he did think through those details, which I appreciate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I thought it was funny. Like you jump into the book and he's just walking around naked, and all these people are yelling at him because he's walking down the road.
Yeah, like, you wanker!
Put some fucking pants on, you wanker!
Yeah,
I was like,
wanker.
Oh, okay, we're set in the UK. I was like, all right.
Probably my favorite insult.
So he's like, I didn't know how to interact with them, so I just spit at them. I was like, what?
Talk to a girl says that's what you gotta do. So
you just spit at them, and that's cool.
Spit on that thing.
But then he goes into the gas station and he's reading magazines, and he's like, the orgasm is the purpose of their life. I was like, I mean, it's the only way it continues, but okay.
I know. He's reading a Cosmo, obviously, or something like that. And I'm like, of all the magazines to pick up. And then, like, when he talks to his wife, doesn't he say something to? Oh no, he was trying to talk to somebody, and he was like telling him about a full body orgasm or something like that because he read it in the magazine. I was like, okay, that is not a topic for open conversation in polite society.
I think it kind of makes you reevaluate what is.
I have said this about cuss words to you.
Who decided this? Who decided?
Who said
any of it?
You can't say these words. Like, why are they cuss words? Why are they not polite? I don't understand. Like, I can say I can say hi, I can say hello. Why can't I say fuck? Why can't I say bitch? Why can't I say shit? I mean, it's all just words. It's how you string like sentences together that could be like rude or offensive. But then again, who decided that too?
Yeah, I think, at least for me, more anger or miscommunication comes from tone, at least from my perspective. Like, if someone has just a shitty tone with me, they could be saying something really nice, but I'm like, fuck you. Like, excuse you? Why don't you try that again?
Yeah.
Also,
I think tone doesn't come across in like emails or texts. I have people that I deal with at work that sometimes I'm like, you're not very friendly. Yeah, and then I get them on the phone and they're like the nicest people ever, and I'm like, okay, they just don't. The tone just doesn't come across. So if I'm ever texting or emailing someone and it comes across rude, I just assume that they're not rude until they say something that I'm like, can confirm is rude, because I've run into so many of those scenarios with the tone issue, just like you're saying, like, doesn't come across in
and it's crazy how like in communicating with other humans, like, it's hard to sometimes perceive that tone or even meaning, but in books they're able to describe things in such depth or with certain connotations that we just get it. like if they like reading the humans, like you understand that someone is yelling at him, like put some pants on, you fucking wanker. Like you can imagine it, you can picture it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But all in all, I think Matt Haig is a impressive author for sure. Different style, not something I would like read nonstop all the time, but every
Yeah.
once in a while, like in between a fluffy romance or some, just a nice little switch it up. I did enjoy both books, all in all.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the theme of his books is a lot of the feeling alienated or excluded from conversations. Like, I mean, you can be in the room with 10 people and two people can be having one conversation like with their mouth, but having a different conversation with their eyes. And you can kind of pick up on that. But when you feel like you're excluded, that's where a lot of that loneliness comes from that causes people to make those harmful decisions that they might not normally make if they didn't feel excluded or didn't feel less than somehow because
Yeah,
they weren't
no, for sure.
invited in, if that makes sense.
Ready to jump into our final segment here?
Yes, I think so.
I had a lot of fun putting this together. So we're gonna go through our bucket lists. And my type A self had to break it up into other continents, USA, and then things anytime I go anywhere new that are like rules or must do's. And then also I made a list of my bucket list things I've already done. So, want me to start? You want to start?
You can go ahead.
Okay, I'll start with the things that I have done that were on my bucket list. So, see Niagara Falls. I also rode the Maiden of the Mist, which if you've watched Bruce Almighty. So many references. Jesse went when we went. He had not watched Bruce Almighty yet, and I just kept going like,
I don't get
so
it.
the cookie crumbles, and he was like, got back immediately, made him watch Bruce Almighty. So many Maiden of the Mist references. Anyways, Grand Canyon. Actually, I went with my parents and my husband and my niece, and we flew like we're in the helicopter that flew over it. So cool, but very scary. I'm scared of heights. So then being in a helicopter on top of that, and you like the wind comes, like you would like drop. I had a hard time like
Terrified,
relaxing and enjoying the view because I was like white knuckling. I was scared, but it was so cool. Highly recommend. On our honeymoon, we rode the tallest zip line in the world. Again, I'm afraid of heights. I'm just a glutton for punishment because I'm gonna do every roller coaster, every stupid thing. I'm just gonna be scared the whole time. Looked for the Loch Ness monster in Scotland. Didn't find him, obviously. But that was cool. Go on a Scotch distillery tour in the Highlands in Scotland. Bourbon Trail in Kentucky. Jesse and I did that for our anniversary a few years ago. And then swim with dolphins. I did that in the Bahamas 2019, something like that. So those are my completed ones. You want to do yours, or you want me to roll through my ones I've yet to complete?
You can go ahead because I'm not as type A and I did not go that in depth. So I'll let you
Okay, perfect.
go ahead and then I'll
start with
finish up with what
my
I want to do.
must-dos at every new destination, which I think some people also have like rules like this where you're like, okay, I have to do this. Mine is we will not eat at any chain restaurants. We only will eat local places or local-ish places or places we don't have at home. Just because why would I eat somewhere that we have at home when there's so we just get on Yelp or Google or reviews and just, find a spot. I'm obsessed with lighthouses. It's like my number one thing. I'm gonna get like a big lighthouse tattoo on my arm. But if there is a lighthouse within a couple of hours of anywhere that we are, we go and climb that shit.
Yeah.
I do not like stairs. I do not like exercise, but for a lighthouse, I will. And then if we're at a beach destination, every time we do the snorkel tour. I don't know why. It's just we love it. The open bar on the way home. We roll it into drinking. It's just a thing we've always done since our honeymoon. If we're at a beach, a new beach destination, let me say, I've been in Nassau a few times. We just did it once, but every new destination, beach, we've got to do the snorkel tour. It's just like my rules. Well, my husband and I's rules, but I'll do other continents because these are really fun. I didn't even have to think about this because this is my Roman Empire, okay? This stuff is in my head rent-free 24/7. My number one is I have always my entire life wanted to go to Italy. Funny story, my sister lives in Italy and has for 4 years, and I have yet to go. So hoping to go next year, but I want to stomp grapes. I don't know what book I read this in or what movie I saw this in, but I have to do it. Maybe that's Greece though.
Yeah.
I'll get to Mamma Mia because it's on the shit. But I have to stomp grapes. My mom even like looked up what time of year to do that in, and for me to be able to go, it's in the fall, which is unfortunately the busiest time for my business, but make it work somehow. Number 2, I want to cage dive with great whites in either South Africa or Guadalupe. Big Shark Week girl. It's almost Shark Week. Big Shark Week girl. And I love sharks and great whites. And I want to cage dive with those. Now, if we go to South Africa, I also want to do safari, see all those things. I just think that would be one of the coolest things you could possibly do. I want a road trip through Ireland. Go to the oldest pub in the world. I don't even like Guinness, but I would get a Guinness there for obvious reasons. Paris. Of course, all the Paris sites, croissant, Eiffel Tower. Specifically, I want to buy a Louis Vuitton. Never full in Paris. I don't have a Louis Vuitton. Yes, it's on my bucket list to get a freaking Louis Vuitton. Haters gonna hate. I'm gonna have one of these days, and I'm gonna buy it in Paris. London, Tower of London, love true crime, spooky vibes, history, Anne Boleyn. I want to go to the Tower, and then I also want to go to Hampton Court, which was Henry VIII's palace, which he's the one with all the wives. And then Mamma Mia era, I want to island hop in Greece. I want to take little boats and listen to ABBA and eat hummus. I don't know, do all the Greek things. I love Greek food. I love pretty beaches. I love history. It's like got everything I want. I'm almost done with international. This last one's kind of my husband's, but I'm going to do it with him, so I felt that it needed to be added. Run with the Bulls in Spain. This is his number one like bucket list thing. We've been trying to do this for years. Always falls around the 4th of July. But yeah, it's scary, terrifying, but I think it would be one of those things you do once and say you did it, but very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to roll to USA stuff now. I feel like I'm just talking. I want to travel. I want to see it all, okay? And it was hard. It was actually the hardest thing for me was narrowing it down what's actual bucket list and what's just like a want. You know, but anyways. Number 1, Boston, Salem in the fall with a road trip around New England. I'm going to be honest, I always traveled west or beach. So I have been for work to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and then I've gone to New York just to fly out. So I've not like Northeast is uncharted territory really for me. So also that brings me to my next one, New York at Christmas time, and I want to see a Broadway show. And then Chicago, I've been a lot, but I want to go specifically for St. Patrick's Day. They dye the river green. Yeah, and they just have like a huge party.
Because they dye the river green. And they do the duck race.
Oh, they do? I don't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
when it's green, they
Fun.
dump a bunch of ducks in there and they do a little race down the river. So you just pay like I think it's like $1 or something for your duck, and they put your number on the bottom,
That
and then
sounds
whoever
fun.
wins gets something at the end. Yeah.
Mardi Gras in New Orleans. I just gotta go.
Love
Gotta go
beignets.
once. Get some king cake, some beignets. Yes, I want all the food. All of the New Orleans food.
Yeah.
Um, Hawaii. I want to snorkel on the North Shore with sharks. Hopefully, no great whites at the time. I'm good with snorkeling without a cage with every kind of shark except great whites.
Yeah, no.
But great whites, I want to, but I want to be in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
So, North Shore, I don't know, it's got an appeal for me. And then skydive. I'm terrified of heights. I don't know why I do all this stuff with heights and want to do stuff with heights.
Glutton.
I'm a glutton, yep. But okay, so that's my consolidated list. It took like 20 minutes to go through everything. But if anyone listening has done any of these things and has tips, please comment, message us, whatever. I am serious about checking off some items on the bucket list. So, okay, Tisha, what you got?
Mine is not anywhere near as detailed. I want to go to the Seychelles islands. You kind of island hop there too. It is off the coast of like Japan. But I had a friend who went a couple years ago, and watching her stories, it is so beautiful and there are so many things to do. Like she was paddleboarding, she was riding little Vespas, and she said the food was amazing, which I am a picky eater, but even the stuff she was posting looked good. So I was like, okay, I can get behind that. I want to go to the Bahamas. I want to stay in one of those little huts that's like sitting over the ocean, and the water is just like crystal blue green, beautiful. I want to go to Alaska and see like the 24 hours of day or night. Like right now, my friend that lives in Alaska, she posted a video just a couple days ago, or it was on solstice.
Wow.
It was 11:30 at night, and it looked like it does outside right now, like full daylight. And she's like, the sun will set in probably an hour or
So
two,
weird. I
and
can't imagine
it comes
that.
back up at like 4 a.m. Yeah. She also homeschools her kids. So they had like, you know how they have the like word problems? It's like, okay, it's 3 p.m. Is the sun up or is it dark outside? And she's like, in Alaska, you don't know. Like, you know, one part of the year it could be, and one part of the year it could be dark. So who knows? I want to go to Greenland and see the Northern Lights. I want to like they have little yurts there that you can rent and just like
How did
sleep
I forget
under
the Northern
I think
Lights?
that's so freaking amazing.
Great one. Great one.
Yeah. I want to also go really anywhere in Canada. Like I just want to hear Canadians talk about maple syrup and I don't know all the things.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We have been to
picture the
Canada.
moose.
Jesse's brother's wife is from Canada, so we went for their wedding. And the
Mhm.
people are as friendly as advertised. And that's when we went to Niagara Falls. And the weirdest thing was their
Mhm.
pizza. They put the toppings underneath the cheese.
Like Chicago style, like the deep dish.
But the sauce is in the right spot. It goes sauce, toppings, cheese. And you know, whereas ours traditionally is sauce, cheese, toppings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can get behind it as long as there's lots of toppings. Like, make it deep and thick.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, pizza is very popular there. Well, at least the town we were in, I felt like there was a lot of pizza joints. But yeah, definitely worth going for sure.
Ireland. Just
Yes.
all I can think of is what is that, leap year, or also P.S. I Love You.
Yes, I Love You is my favorite movie of all time.
Love it.
Literally my comfort period TMI movie. Yep.
Greece, because of course, like, who doesn't want to see the Mediterranean and eat bread and pasta and not just
Yes.
feel awful because they don't have a bunch of shit in it. I want to do New Year's Eve in New York City. We went 6 years ago. Kaylin was 6 months old. We went 2 days before New Year's, and they already had like the fencing up, and people were like camping out essentially for New Year's Eve.
Wow.
It was December 29th. Yeah. Yeah, it was beautiful though. Also want to do Mardi Gras in New Orleans just because it's such a vibe. Like, is one huge party
make
in the
this
whole
trip
city,
leave
and
the group
I'm
chat.
here for it.
Mardi Gras is always around my birthday too, so we can just make it an excuse for my birthday.
Yeah. Also want to go to Paris, but I want to go around like Valentine's and like hang out at the Eiffel Tower and see people like so in love, putting their little locks on, and I think it'd just be so sweet. Also want to safari in South Africa because I fucking love elephants. Like, I love going to the zoo to see elephants, but I hate going to the zoo because elephants are there. Like, they're just, yes, it's such a ethical and moral dilemma always. I don't know even where this came from, probably because I'm a masshole in my soul somehow. Like, I've only been there twice, but I don't know, something about Massachusetts and Boston just calls to my soul, and I want to see a Red Sox game at Fenway Park. And we got so close to like just walking through Fenway when we were there last, and somebody that we don't speak of anymore had to take a phone call with our boss, and I had to sit on a conference call for like 20 minutes, and it was fucking terrible, and it ruined our day. Also want to skydive because I'm a thrill seeker, so I love roller coasters and all of the things. I think it would be cool to go to every Six Flags in the world. I don't know if there are even some outside of North America, but I think it would be so cool to just go to all of them and ride like the tallest and fastest and all of the roller coasters everywhere. I think last, this is a goal by the time I'm 40, which is not as far away as I think it is sometimes. But I want to run a marathon, Boston or New York. And Boston obviously is preferred, but also New York City Marathon is like so big. So I'm like, I just want to run a marathon.
We have the Razorback Greenway that is the exact length of a marathon, so you can train at home. That's good. Yeah. That's fun. We'll have to
I think that's it.
Tell all of our listeners as we accomplish items on our bucket list.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll be posting a lot of content about it.
I'm still game that we make these Mardi Gras happen. When we make it's on both of our lists, and it's there's a direct flight from here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Not me planning the trip in 15 minutes.
Same. When we went last time on our haunted like girls trip, we stayed overnight in New Orleans, went to the Museum of Death, and that is, it's disgusting, but it's amazing at the same time. Like the memorabilia they have from like John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer and like all of them, it is amazing. You can't take any pictures in there, which I think is a little sketch, but also like they want to keep the integrity of their items and all of the scary spooky stuff, but
Yeah.
it's definitely really good. But we definitely almost got ourselves killed because we stayed in a really bad part of town because our hotel that we were going to stay at canceled last minute, literally 3 days before we were supposed to arrive. They're like, hey, actually, we're not done with construction yet, so you can't come here. And we were like, what? So we found a sketchy place in like a really bad part of town, and we stayed there, and we just walked to the curb, and some guy was sitting on his stoop, and he's like, you guys are trying to get killed, aren't you? I was like, no. He's like, well, stop looking so tourist and
He was
get
like
in your
watching
car
out
now.
for you.
I was like, okay. Yeah. I was like, okay, thank you. I was like, we're staying here tonight. So he's like, I'll keep an eye out, but don't
Yeah,
don't
that's
be
the
hanging
thing
out
that scares me
outside.
about cities
I was like,
is
oh, okay.
you don't really know. Good news on New Orleans. I have someone that I used to
Yeah.
be, well, I guess we went to high school together. Jeremy, probably your husband probably knows her. She lives there. And last time we were looking at going, she actually like screenshotted maps and circled, stay here, stay in this area, stay in this area, don't go here, and like sent them all to me. And so I was like, that is super helpful because my family's from Louisiana, but further north. And if you ask my grandpa, it's all bad. All of New Orleans is bad. So it's not like a this part of town. It's like it's all bad. But she was like showing like stay in this area, this area. So that's a good like guide of where to get an Airbnb or hotel or whatever.
Yeah.
So
all right, I think that's it for today,
that's
right?
it. Yep.
No clue what we're going to talk about next time. So just be sure to check in, follow us on our socials. If you haven't liked or followed all of our socials, we are open booked on why do I always want to say LinkedIn? Like
you always
so
say
stupid.
LinkedIn.
I don't even know where that comes from. I hate that platform entirely. Anyway, sorry. Open booked on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. And we really need a lot of support on our TikTok because we don't know what we're doing yet. We're learning. We're trying to get better. We're trying to post content that relates to people, but also it's so hard. It is like a full-time job, and we both have full-time jobs. So, and then other stuff. So follow us over there and be sure to subscribe so that you are notified every time we put out a new episode. We put out new episodes every week. I think that's it.
Bye.
All right. Thanks for listening.